This week's edition of NJBIA's Minding Your Business is brought to you in part by AT&T, helping family, friends, and neighbors connect in meaningful ways every day. New Jersey's community colleges, aligning education to build an innovative workforce. Find out how your business can benefit at njpathways.org. And by New Jersey Business Magazine, providing critical information needs for New Jersey's business community for more than 66 years.
Welcome to NJBIA's Minding Your Business. I'm Bob Considine. Well, the New Jersey Pathways to Career Opportunities Initiative continues its amazing work in aligning education to build an innovative workforce. One such effort is connecting education and training at New Jersey's community colleges with the needs of the digital health workforce. And here to discuss this exciting partnership are the director of the New Jersey chapter of the HIMSS Institute, Dana Castro, and Dr. Elvy Vieira, the Dean of Community, Continuing Education, and Workforce Development at Essex County Colleges. Ladies, thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thanks for having us.
Before we get into this initiative, we have to talk about Dana, the Healthcare Information and Management Systems Society. This is HIMSS. Tell us more about it.
Yeah, quite a mouthful.
Yeah, it is.
You can refer to us as HIMSS.
Thank you so much.
So HIMSS is a global nonprofit professional society.
Okay, it's global.
It's global.
Okay.
We have over 120,000 members. And what our organization does is we advise our membership around health innovation, public policy and reform,
Right.
workforce development. We provide professional development, digital health transformation, all with the mission to reform the digital health ecosystem through information and technology.
Okay.
So here in New Jersey,
Right.
because it's global,
Yeah.
here in New Jersey, we have over 2,000 members within the HIMSS organization. Wow. And 11 of our hospitals are organizational affiliates of HIMSS.
Okay, that's tremendous. Now, Elvy, fill us in on how your organization and HIMSS got together to address the challenges in health IT.
Sure. So Essex County College is one of the 18 community colleges, and
Yes.
we were working with the New Jersey Council of Community Colleges on several projects, and one of the projects happened to be health information technology. And being that Dana was a member of NJBIA, she ended up in one of our conversations.
Thank you, Dana.
Yes. And so we connected and we started learning about HIMSS and about just what's out there in terms of careers for the students, because that's really what we want to do, is connect the students to the workforce.
Right. And when we talk about this subject, health IT, there's always the word informatics. What is informatics?
Informatics has a lot of syllables,
Right.
but it's not a complicated word.
Okay.
So it's simply the analysis of healthcare data
Okay.
to improve health providers to make better decisions and to improve patient outcomes.
Okay.
But what I would say is more shocking about the definition is what I find shocking is over the last few decades within the United States, our health system has moved to a digitized medical record system.
No doubt. Yeah.
So now globally, 1/3 of the world's data is coming from the healthcare industry.
Okay. Wow.
So the role of informatics with this growing data set that's actually growing at 35% every year
Right.
is not only fueling the future informatics rules, but it's also fueling the interest and the business of artificial intelligence.
Oh, no kidding. Wow.
Yeah.
That is amazing. And I was reading some data. This was from HIMSS based on U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics that projects that the healthcare IT workforce will grow to 3 million people by 2030. So Elvy, I'm assuming New Jersey also has a great need to fill in this sector.
Yes, and Essex County College is located in Newark, and
Right.
we have several hospitals that are right there. And so the hospitals are always reaching out because they need workforce. They need prepared individuals that can go to work and contribute.
Right.
And then for us, we have a great nursing program. We have wonderful allied health in both the credit and the non-credit side. But taking the IT and connecting it with health is where we started to really look at that niche of that connection. Because we want our students, a lot of them are minorities or first time to the United States, immigrants, a very mixed population in Newark. We want to connect them with well-paying jobs. Cost of living is high, and they need to have access to careers that pay well, and the need is there. So the employers need people, and people need the jobs.
Yeah, what was there in one statistic? For every 100 people employed in New Jersey, 14 are working in healthcare roles. That's huge. You mentioned credentials, Elvy. Tell us about the Certified Associate in Healthcare Information and Management Systems credential. How can it be a stepping stone for people who really need good careers to have it?
So we're working with Dana on this particular one because they already had the curriculum approved, they're ready to go. And so what we're doing now is looking at the students that we have, figuring out how to connect them. Not only students that are coming to the college, but also those that have graduated and left and are already in the field. Because this could be another way that they can move through their careers and just be able to get promotions and move within.
So this is basically a dual enrollment thing, like you can be in high school and get involved in this, correct?
You can. We have a huge dual enrollment program at Essex County College, and that's one of the programs I supervise. We have over 1,000 students, and we try to connect them to different industries, and this is like a growing industry. And there are kids who are interested in IT, and then there's those that are interested in nursing or doctors because that's what they know, but not everyone's necessarily going to being in nursing or a doctor because of different reasons. So this could be a way to combine an interest in working in a hospital and supporting all of the healthcare needs and getting into using the IT skills. So it's a combination of both. And if someone has been working as a nurse or in anything, would like to do this and get out of nursing because physically they can't lift patients or do certain things that we're doing, that gives them that opportunity to do that as well. That's why we thought this partnership would work out really well for the people we serve. That is great.
And did you want to add to that, Dan?
Yeah, one thing I wanted to add is this summer we're offering through Essex our first prep course to help students prepare to earn their certification for CA-HIMSS. The Certified Associate credential is one of the only credentials in the United States that the prerequisite is a high school diploma.
Right. I'm just looking at the requirements for it.
Right. So as Elvy and Essex has worked over the last 2 years to build 4 agreements with high schools, so we will be recruiting those students. We will be recruiting from the college itself for students to take that course, and we will be recruiting from our professional society, the 2,000 members that I mentioned, because the state has the objective to increase the number of credentialing in general. So we're going to hit all 3 populations.
Very good. I have to ask, Elvy, you mentioned the dual enrollment. It's been a couple of years. Have you seen kids who are in high school get their degree already, where they've graduated?
So with my dual enrollment, not necessarily in HIT in this particular one, but in my dual enrollment, we have our graduation May 23rd. We're going to have 107 walk across the stage.
What's that like for you to see that?
It's like exciting. I mean, 18 years old and you have an associate's, you're going to a 4-year institution. We saved you a lot of money, which, parents right now are very conscious. And they could come out with, with a bachelor's degree and they'll be 20, 21. So we've seen several groups go through now, and we want to expose them to HIT as well, and let them know that this is another connection, and we have an agreement with Rutgers University, so we know that if they come through Essex and they work on this with us, that they can also apply to the Rutgers program.
Yeah, that's huge.
So it's connection.
I think I read something you said where you're helping students both downstream and upstream with this. That's awesome. It's really great. Dana, what are some of the in-demand jobs that we're talking about in this sector, and what kind of skills are people in the sector looking for?
Yeah, so 2 years when I joined this collaborative, I had that exact same question. So, as I mentioned, we have a large membership base, so we went out and asked them. We said, what are some of give us examples of job titles for entry-level roles. We also scoured the job requisitions within the state of New Jersey. So we have come up with 50 different job titles that are entry level that would be prime for these students. And they generally break out into 2 types of categories. One is a little bit more on the technical side. So things like a database systems analyst, a cybersecurity project manager, and then they also go into more analytical, which is that clinical analyst, data collection specialist, medical record specialist.
Right.
But what we were most surprised about when we were looking at all of the job requisitions, there's a section that says top skills. And we were looking at those hard skills and soft skills, and we were expecting to see things like coding experience, math skills. We didn't see that anywhere.
Really? That's
what we
fascinating.
saw was proficiency in Excel.
Yes.
Project management skills, being a good listener, good communication skills.
Right.
So these are all skills that Essex is training for, and these students, can actually earn with this degree and with the credential. The starting salaries are up at $60,000.
Yeah, that's great.
Or $60,000.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm thinking those skills you're talking about are probably a little less intimidating for people who, like, oh my God, I don't know how to code.
Right.
But this I can do, and I'm sure that's the appeal of it, right?
Correct.
I'd like to hear from both of you, and as you kind of touched on it earlier, but how is this partnership helping like DEI? People who want to join this workforce, and it's going to be a diverse, equitable workforce.
I'll talk about the employer side first.
Yeah, that's great. That's exactly what I meant.
Yeah, and so from the, when I'm a community college graduate myself. In my case, I was in the rural setting. So if it's rural or urban, the community colleges, and Elvy mentioned this a moment ago, they tend to attract more first generation students. They also attract more women and more minorities than four-year institutions. What we know from our healthcare employers is within the healthcare system, if you have a more diverse workforce, you're going to get more equitable care delivery and better patient outcomes. So every health provider has a DEI initiative, and everyone has a goal to diversify their workforce. Every hospital sits within our communities. And so linking them with the community colleges to solve their diversity challenges is really the key to mutually reaching our goals.
Absolutely. I understand students recently participated in a hackathon partnership at Cooper Health System.
Yes.
And I'm not sure what a hackathon is. I don't think it has
We
anything.
didn't know either.
It's
so
not
you're
about
good.
logging, right? I mean, what is it about? What was this about?
Well, we didn't know anything about it either, but we knew that we had a group of students that were working on computer science, and we wanted to expose them. So we spoke to the professor, and he's really great. And then I said, okay, if we have a group, so he put a group together, and then the group, it was the first time that they participated in something like this, and they were basically competing with other student groups to see who had the best idea for tackling issues that are found in healthcare.
Oh, that's
so our group chose to figure out a way that they can reach seniors, because seniors, we have a high population of seniors, and within Essex, they're very diverse as well. And so they were thinking, how do we, when they go into offices, seniors are not sometimes familiar with IT, but how would we expose them so that they'd be able to complete applications and do certain things online? So they did really well in their presentation, and when they came in, I think as part of the top 4, they ended up then going to DC, and this was our first time that our professor went to the nation's capital. It was the first time that the students went. So it was not just for the hackathon, but was exposure and just letting them know what this industry could be about, and going down to DC and then coming back and feeling really great because they did very well. And just the whole overall experience was something that we wouldn't have been able to do had we not partnered. And if we didn't have the NJCC and NJBIA and the Department of Labor all working collaboratively together. So the students just were they were so excited.
The hackathon was over a course of 6 weeks. Typically, hackathons are you get into a high school gymnasium and you work for 24 hours and come up with an idea. In this case, we were doing a statewide hackathon. This was hosted out of the Innovation Center at Cooper University Health System.
Sure, we've been there,
And, I was just so proud of these students coming into this environment. The room, if you can imagine, was almost like a stadium-like room. And the students teams were nervous about it, but all of those skills that we mentioned earlier that employers were hiring for, teamwork, communication, ability to influence others with your ideas. Now these students have an actual story and experience, real world experience that they can now talk about with future employers.
That's great.
This hackathon will continue in the fall. So we're looking forward to bringing another Essex team together, and we're also always recruiting for employers to come in and mentor these student teams. So that would be a call out to the NJBIA organization to come in and mentor.
We'll do our best at BIA. We always do. And lastly, ladies, I know there's a big focus on apprenticeships in New Jersey. Is there an apprenticeship component to what we're talking about today?
We want it to be. So that means together we have to complete. I think Dana is pursuing that, and Essex will support it. And definitely, I think as a community college, we need more involvement from the business, from the community. And there's a lot of hospitals in our area, as I said before, and they hire from the community. And sometimes to promote with them, they need to keep exposing those employees to other things, and that's how we can help. But hopefully they'll come together with us and want to, take some of the apprentices on, because that's going to require a commitment from the employer in terms of a certain number of hours, a certain number of pay, and we might be able to fundraise it at the beginning. But if we really want it to grow, then the employers have to see this as a value.
Employers, you're hearing this. You got to help these ladies out. This is a great program. Again, a great job aligning the educational needs with the digital health workforce. Dana Castro, Elvy Vieira, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Bob.
All right, we'll be back right after these words.
Hello, darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk with you again, because a vision softly dreaming left its scenes while I was sleeping.
Welcome back to NJBIA's Minding Your Business. I'm Bob Considine. Well, as many sales-based companies know, sales are often not easy, but help is out there. Cal Thomas is the president of Sandler Training in Morristown, and he's been teaching and coaching sales professionals for more than 25 years, helping them to improve their business performance and their personal performance. And he's here with us today. Cal, thank you so much for being here.
Hey, glad to be here.
All right. Love the enthusiasm. Before we get into what you do, if you could tell us a little bit more about Sandler Training. What is it?
Sure. At its core, at our core, we are a sales or business development for people who can't say sales, like architects and engineers. And management leadership training company. Most of our time is spent with pretty successful companies, well, like NJBIA, for example.
We're going to talk about that.
And who are doing well, but they're a little worried that their folks or they are not in front of enough of the right people at the right levels with the right frequency. Others do okay with that, Bob, but they're worried about their sales cycles, and it takes longer and longer. I don't know if you're seeing it out there, but it's hard to get people to make decisions.
We've seen that. We've heard that. People have a lot going on. It's a lot of noise, a lot of distraction. As you mentioned, you've given us sales training here at NJBIA. It's been fantastic for the entire staff. I've often said it here at NJBIA, sales is the hardest job. Anybody who has a sales title has the hardest job here. But you've come at it from the philosophy of, well, everybody who works here should be a salesperson. Discuss that.
Oh, sure. We're all the face of our organizations to some degree. And I hate to say it, but people don't like sales people. I grew up in the world of procurement the very beginning of my career, so I don't even really like salespeople, at least not the pushy ones or the ones that are putting pressure on you. And I think that people tell me that's what goes through their head, and they say, I don't want to be in sales. And in fact, really, it's not. It's really, for me, about it's having a conversation between adults to get to the truth of whether I can help you, you've got a problem, whether you want to work with me or you don't. Any of those are fine. And I think that's, we call in Sandler, you've heard the word head trash. I think that's a lot of the head trash about people saying, oh, I don't want to feel like I'm in sales. But we're all responsible for the success of our own companies.
I love that, the adult conversation thing we're going to get to. But you did hit on something. Sales does sometimes have a negative connotation, whether you're the recipient of a pitch or whether you're going to be the sales guy. can you talk about that a little bit more? Like, how do you tell people this is not a difficult thing? You seem to make things easier for salespeople on both sides.
Well, that's the point, right? It's not, Sandler is simple. I won't say it's easy. And sales needs to be, as does everything, it needs to be very intentional.
Right.
I need to have a plan. Most salespeople, sales teams, most leaders and managers, they kind of wing it. And boy, most people have not had any, quote, formal sales training. They've got a pitch, or they believe, we have a rule within Sandler that says people buy for their reasons, not ours.
I was going to mention that. That was one of the things I took away. If I could, I've been in some of these meetings with Cal, and they're fantastic, great engagement. They're kind of fun, but they're also very helpful. And again, I don't consider myself a salesperson, but here I am trying to sell NJBIA to future members. So my takeaway is the importance of active listening. I'm going to go down this list, Cal, and then we'll take it point by point. The importance of active listening. Don't make it about you, which I can have a hard time doing sometimes. Identify pain points to kind of determine how you could help that person.
Right.
And again, people buy for their reasons, not ours. Sometimes no is not a bad place to get to, which I thought was interesting.
I think it's a great place to get to. Let's just get to it quickly.
So we can go right there. I mean, sometimes you're chasing something for a long time with no response, and it's better just to get to know.
It is. And I have a great client, his name's, we'll call him Dan, because that's his name. And
dismissed as coincidence.
Yeah, and he sends me a text or an email at least once a month, and he said, I just sent a breakup email and it was great and I got a response, which is something like, Bob, we haven't heard from you, which is code for you blowing me off and avoiding me. You've gone into the witness protection program and it's just crickets. We haven't heard you, we have not been able to speak for a while. I'm getting the sense this is really not a conversation that you want to continue, and I'm fine with that, I'll take you off the list. And it gets a ridiculous response.
Really?
It could be no or it could be yes. I don't care. I want to be done with this so I can go spend time with people who are real prospects, not people that I'm chasing because I think it's a good idea they need my stuff.
Right. Let's talk about active listening and not making it about you. What kind of tips can you give for people if you're going to be a salesperson and you just want to have a conversation with them, whether it's an event, on a phone call, even an email? Talk more about active listening.
So we have another rule, as you've probably heard that one too. It's the 70-30 rule. So 70% of our efforts in a sales role, however you define that, is gathering information, not giving. Because they don't care about us, not to be too blunt about it.
Right.
But I have to ask questions, and my job is to build rapport with them, build some kind of a relationship, control the process, and you'd mentioned pain, which was good. By the way, you passed the quiz.
Thank you, appreciate that.
I have to ask questions and listen for what they're going to say. I want to use their words. I'm going to use their tonality and their speed, which for me is hard sometimes.
Yeah, right.
Because we want to go in and just be who we are.
Yeah.
But just for that short period of time, I have to go listen and be more like them to make them comfortable in the process.
You hit on something there, Cal, where we say, you want to let them have 70% of the conversation. I think sometimes at BIA, because we offer so much to a customer, we fall into the trap of, you got to hear me out on this because we have this, and this, and this, and what is good for you. So that's not the way to go.
It's not, and I'm very familiar with BIA and what y'all offer, and I know the people you work with, they're worried that they're maybe not getting in front of the right audiences or the right people.
Right.
Their networks aren't as robust as they might like.
Right.
And they don't have a reach to 7,000 different kinds of businesses.
When you talk about pain points, is that kind of customer specific, or is there always a general pain point in sales?
Many.
Okay.
So I'm a big believer, and I know you guys are as well, hire the expert to do the job.
Right.
So we have one company, it's an IT company, and one of their conversation starters, some people call it a 30-second commercial, is, we work with owners who are frustrated that they have to deal with security issues on a Sunday.
Right.
When in fact they should be spending time with their family, and then during the week they should be building ships or doing marketing, not all the other stuff.
Right.
So a lot of what we as experts do is train or teach or do that kind of work for them. So they should go on and be their own business, to be running their own business, spending time on that, not on the other stuff.
Are your clients mostly companies that come to you, or are they individuals saying, oh, hey, I'm going outside my my job here for you to help me individually. Is it both?
It's both.
Really?
Yeah. There was a young lady probably about 2 years ago, and she funded it herself, and it's not inexpensive.
Right.
And she said, I want to boost my confidence, I want to get better at goal setting, and I want to have, as a young 20-something out of college young lady, I want to be able to have equal business stature with somebody like Bob or with the owner of another company. And those were some of her takeaways.
Right.
It was really, I thought it was great. And then we've got a $6 billion company that we work with, and then everybody in between.
You know, you hit on tonality before, and I saw a great stat on your website. It said the speaker's tone and body language will impart meanings. This is about listening with your gut. Body language accounts for 55% of the communication, and tonality is 37%, and words are only 7% of the process, which for me is kind of high. But for the rest of the world, that might seem low.
It does. There are a lot of auxiliary members of the grammar police out there, and we're disappointed that, I mean, I don't know about you,
Right.
If you ever spent 10 minutes rewriting an email because it didn't sound right or the words were off or something. But yeah, and that's why for good or for bad, now with Zoom and video calls and Teams and whatever else you use, I like it because you can get body language and better tonality than just the phone or, you know, worst case, an email or a text, because you can't get that, or if you do, it's the wrong tonality.
Yeah, you've also hit on don't get distracted. That's another big one. That's like, you know, if you're having a one-on-one conversation and you see somebody walking in the room at the corner of your eye that you know and you want to hit up later, you can't. Right?
Yes, this person is the most important person in the world right now.
Right.
And they need to feel that way.
And one last thing, Cal, I wanted to hit on was you mentioned it earlier, the idea of pushiness. This to me seems to be a difficult balance. Here's why. You don't want to be pushy as the salesperson. However, you also want to you don't want to come off too light or too meek and not make a sale. What is the balance? How do you quantify that balance?
So for me, it's easy. I've been doing this a long time, but it's about having a process that's repeatable, that you've practiced 10,000 times, which I have, a lot of our clients have. And you'll remember what we call the upfront contract, how do we take control of this meeting? Because we're going to kind of tell them what the rules are, nurturingly.
Yeah.
And what is their agenda? My agenda is to ask questions. They feel like they're in control, but I am. And I'm never, ever going to leave a meeting without somebody saying no, somebody saying yes and let's go, and everybody thinks the third one is let's think it over or maybe, which is not an option.
Okay.
The other, it's a clear future. It's a time and a date on the calendar that we both agree to, and who else should be there.
And that doesn't come off as too pushy sometimes?
It's in the tonality.
Okay.
It's not what you do, it's how you do it.
Okay.
So Sandler's pretty easy stuff out of the textbook,
Right.
but the execution, to your point, is it takes practice, that's all.
Yeah. I noted the intro, Cal, that you've done this for more than 25 years, probably closer to 30.
Well, I don't know who said that, but yeah.
Which means you started when you were 5.
Yep, good.
But you know, what do you get out of this? You know, what is the job satisfaction for you?
Yeah, I love that point. So I came up with, I sat in a room with a guy who looks now what I look like, and he wouldn't let us out of the room until we created our personal mission statements.
Right.
I was 24 a few years ago. And it's to help people live life and to lead by example.
Yeah.
And doing this, we had another woman, she said, early December, her victory, we always start with victories in the classroom, and she said, here's my victory. This is the best Thanksgiving we have ever had. I did an upfront contract with my father-in-law. I was very clear to get the agenda out of my mother, and I controlled the narrative, and everybody understood what was going to happen.
Right.
And so she transferred that business skill, sales skill, to apply to her family, because it's really about improving communication and understanding human dynamics.
Right.
And that's what we do.
Well, you do it well. You did a great job with NJBIA. I can tell you, folks, if you're a business or you're just a salesperson who wants to deal with somebody who brings more comfortability to the process, do reach out to Cal Thomas. How do people get in touch with you? I'm really easy to find. You can find me on LinkedIn at Cal Thomas. I'm in Morristown. Our website is tailwind.sandler.com. Very good. And I'm cal.thomas at sandler.com. I'm easy. Well, cal.thomas, you do a great job. Really, thanks so much for being here on Minding Your Business. Hey, my pleasure. Thanks for inviting me. All right. And thank you for joining us on NJBI's Minding Your Business. We'll see you next time.